what's the matter you? Hey, got no respect. What do you think you do? Why you look so sad? It's not so bad. It's a nicer place. Ah, shut up.
So just how Machiavellian was Frank Stallone? No, I'm just kidding. How Machiavellian was Deanna Dunn, Fredo's wife. After all, it was her who opened the Drapes. And for those coming in late, yes, she is the one who opened the Drapes, and you can see my last video, link below, describing that in full. And if you think I'm insane, well, that's just going to add credence to my conclusion at the end, isn't it? But it was while I was watching Who Was the Inside Man by Movies Consigliere that I saw this scene. You know the one, we've all seen it because we've seen Godfather 2. And I said to myself, that's running a diversion. For the record, it's not because he said, what if she wasn't drunk? In fact, he was going in the right direction, he just looked at it from the wrong angle. So I went back and watched the scene where they actually arrive at the compound for two reasons. One, I want to study this woman closer. Two, I've got a theory that whoever slashed the throats on the assassins came in the boot of Fredo's car. And among other things, I noticed this towards the end of that scene.
You listen to me. Listen to me. Michael's got a lot of nice people here. They're friends of Kay's. If you ruin this party, I'll never live it down.
Oh, yeah? How come you're so scared of your own kid brother anyway?
Now let's just pause there for a moment. She is not a bimbo. That is an expert narcissist right there. She didn't say, you're not scared of Michael, are you? And she didn't say, are you scared of Michael? She said,
how come you're so scared of your own kid brother anyway?
One, she's brought up the issue of being scared, when his point was clearly about her humiliating him in public. Two, she didn't ask if he was scared, she went straight for the assumption that he was. And because Fredo's been on the receiving end of this since about 3 weeks after the honeymoon, and three, she emphasises kid brother. That is one cold-hearted, cunning bitch. And Fredo being so damaged because he's been on the receiving end, he's been on the receiving end for so long by now. Instead of putting his foot down and saying, it's got nothing to do with fear, I said, I don't want you embarrassing me and humiliating me because I will never live it down. What part of that didn't you understand? He says,
because he's the head of the family.
And also pay attention to when they arrive at the party, she's the one driving. A subtle hint that she's the one in control in this relationship. She then goes on to do the very thing her husband asked her not to do, humiliate him in the most emasculating of ways, but making herself look like an airheaded blonde so no one will ever suspect her in the first place. And I might as well point out now, she's working for the same people as Fredo and her husband's never worked that out. Yeah, the only reason she was ever in position for Fredo to meet her in the first place, and the only reason she ever reciprocated his advances and married him, is because she was being paid by Hyman Roth and Johnny Ola. Hyman, Vagina, couldn't resist. And she is the secret weapon in the overall plan to assassinate Michael. Because, as I mentioned in the previous vid, this is highly unlikely the first time they've been to the compound or the first time that Deanna has met Kay. In fact, there is an outstanding chance that her and Kay have bonded at some stage because despite being incredibly different, they're both in a position where they're surrounded by Italian Americans who work for the mafia and expect them to be just like their mum. And that's why if later that night her and Kay got together for a wine or something in Kay's room, and when Kay said, look, I'm going to turn in for the night, she said, all right, love, I'll see you in the morning. And she's left, and then 15 minutes later she's realised, oh, I forgot someone. She's thought of something she's forgotten, and she's gone back to the room. And because those two have been seen hanging out on numerous occasions by the staff, no one questions anything when she approaches the room while Kay's there, or comes out of the room while Kay's there. And then later in the evening, she caused the diversion. Seriously, who goes running out into the night, into the darkness of a compound, moments after they've heard machine gun fire, unless they know they're perfectly safe and they're causing a diversion? And while I'm at it, the would-be assassins arrived with the caterers. You got to remember, that was a pretty big party. Wait staff, bar staff, chefs, etc., etc. And on top of that, slut guts Deanna to keep everyone distracted. And finally there is the bedroom scene, where she is clearly woken up by the phone, and even says at first, out of curiosity, "Who is it?" Then she rolls over onto her side and actually pays attention to the phone call. At no stage has she lost her temper about being woken up in the middle of the night by somebody ringing. This is a woman who has already established she may have anger management issues. Or does she? She knows damn well who's ringing. So this is one time she's not going to cause trouble. And when Fredo gets off the phone and sits up, once again she says, out of curiosity, "Who was that?" She knows he's not going to tell her. And once again, this is the narcissist in her coming out. She is a piece of work. And credit to Hyman Roth. Always one step ahead of Michael. And when he wasn't, the Cuban revolutionary stepped in for him. But when Michael came to see Hyman Roth early in the movie, he tells him Frank Pentangeli was behind the attempted hit, and that he is a dead man. But Roth can see through it. He even praises him, telling Michael he's considerate. And Michael tells him he's a great man. The game's gone to another level, and it's Michael falling for his own game. So Roth puts the hit out on Pentangeli because Michael said he's a dead man. And really fucks life for Michael. And Deanna Dunn was a masterstroke on Hyman Roth's part. And she too was very Machiavellian in her role. In fact, she was so Machiavellian she was able to hide her intentions up until now. And because everyone, including Michael, expected a bimbo, she gave them a bimbo and stayed right off the radar the whole time. And had it not been for a picture that Michael's son drew, the plan would have come off. So the moral to all of this is never, ever underestimate a woman. Now, just for the record, I've been saying forget about it since 1986, and this is the reason why. Suck on that, Michael Francis.
Nice hug. Oh my God! It's the fabulous Picasso brothers!
That's right! The party's back! So hide your valuables!
Lock your refrigerator! Forget about it! Forget about it! Forget about it!
I'm not a homosexual.
What a joker!